I love a good show.
Space babies!
The latest episode of Doctor Who left us with many, many intriguing and unanswered questions. And I think that it's safe to assume that next week's episode, the Interstellar Song Contest, is going to kick off one of the biggest finales in Doctor Who history.
I love a good show.
Just a quick reminder for those of you who haven't seen all the news, Russell has stated that events filmed on the 8th of March 2024, which could be either the Eurovision episode or one part of the two-part finale, will be remembered in Doctor Who history forever. Furthermore, he goes on to say that the Interstellar Song Contest as an episode will change Doctor Who forever. This video is also going to discuss why I think Ncuti's final episode, or alleged final episode, will in fact be a multi-Doctor story, but maybe not in the way that you're expecting. Now, however bizarre it may sound, I can promise you one thing. This changing of Doctor Who forever is tied to the Space Babies.
Space babies!
Yeah, I can't believe that that's an actual sentence that I've just said. But no, we have confirmation from Mrs. Flood herself, actress Anita Dobson, that the Space Babies will be tying in with the finale. I'll play that clip for you in a moment. But these proceedings have already begun. I missed it upon my initial watch. It's not until I saw the credits that I realised in the story in the engine, that creepy child that pops up and points the way for Belinda is in fact Captain Poppy, the space baby, who I now guess is not a baby, she's like a space toddler. It's also been leaked and rumoured, no big spoilers here, but Captain Poppy was on set for both the reshoots and the original shoots for the Doctor Who Season 2 finale. But how does this all tie together? Well, here's a clip from Anita Dobson at a Comic-Con a couple of months ago.
It looks like it's random. Do you remember the first episode was with the babies, the babies on that planet that were running the spaceship? And I remember I watched it and thought, what's this about? Where's this come from? When I started filming what you're going to see soon, I thought, I think I know what this is about. Everything's tied up. Everything's done for a reason. He's very clever. He's thinking ahead all the time, you know. And if it doesn't work, if something doesn't work, then he'll find a way to get around it. He'll write something that will circumvent that. He's very clever.
If we think back to Space Babies, the sort of theme of that episode, the big reveal is that there's a computer system creating stories for these babies to enjoy. It looks at monsters, thus creates the bogeyman. It's quite meta storytelling. It breaks down the codes and conventions of fiction and applies it to this is what the spaceship AI does to entertain these children. Now, if Anita Dobson says that all of that and the Space Babies tie into the finale, could all of these theories about the Doctor being trapped in a TV show hold more weight than ever? I've got other videos on that specific topic, but if we think back throughout this season, and, well, since the Disney Plus era began, Mrs. Flood has been breaking the fourth wall. The Doctor acknowledges in The Devil's Chord that he's in a TV show. He says he can hear diegetic music, or at least he thought the music was non-diegetic. Mrs. Flood has spoken to the audience, like, it's almost like being on a stage. She's done a couple of asides where she says, "Ooh, you ain't seen me," or "Show ends May 24th," and then she originally winked into the camera there, but for some reason they cut that from the final episode. One of the biggest examples as well was when Mrs. Flood literally stood on the rooftop and declared, like, she basically stood on a rooftop and went, "I'm an evil Mary Poppins, haha, you don't know who I am, it's gonna be a big reveal, wait and see." Add this to the fact that in Lux, they literally came out of a TV and met Doctor Who fans. How much more meta could you possibly go? I mean, even in the story in the engine, it's a smaller moment and it's not technically breaking the fourth wall, but the people in the barbershop see the title sequence for Doctor Who played on that screen thing that's projected whenever you're getting your hair cut. So there's 101 clues implying that the Doctor is in fact in a TV show and slowly becoming aware of it. As I say, there's many theories which you can go and explore in my other videos more in depth about the gods of Ragnarok from the 7th Doctor's era, who were 3 gods which were originally a metaphor for the BBC. The 7th Doctor had to perform for them to gain their approval. If they didn't approve, he would die, which was a meta-commentary on the fact that if the BBC weren't pleased with Doctor Who, if Doctor Who wasn't pulling in an audience and entertaining, they would kill the show, which is what happened in the classic era. Now, many people have speculated, due to Russell saying that the finale will contain an unholy trinity, that in fact the 3 fans we see in Lux are modern-day interpretations of the gods of Ragnarok. In this era of gods and myths and legends, who's to say that they aren't a meta-commentary on... Well, I mean, they're already a meta-commentary. They literally say R.I.P. Doctor Who. As I say, the big piece of evidence here is that the Space Babies tie into the finale, and I struggle to see how exactly they're going to tie in here, other than adapting that idea of a system creating fiction for people to enjoy, for the babies to enjoy, into a big Doctor Who-wide scale, in that Mrs. Flood, maybe god of stories or something, is creating this fiction for us, the audience, to enjoy. Will the Doctor finally become sentient and realise he's in a TV show? There's also a huge theory, I mean, it was my initial thought before I realised it was Captain Poppy, is that child, in fact, the Timeless Child from, obviously, the Timeless Children? For those of you who aren't in the know on this, but I suppose everyone will be, but I'll do a very quick recap. The Doctor isn't originally from Gallifrey according to the Chris Chibnall era. The Doctor is in fact a creature from beyond a mythical boundary. We don't know what was on the other side, the Doctor doesn't know what was on the other side, but they fell through this boundary, were found by a Gallifreyan called Tecteun, were taken to Gallifrey, and that's where Time Lords got their ability to regenerate. So, what if the Space Babies, or Captain Poppy, are in fact early Gallifreyans, or maybe that's where the Doctor came from? I mean, it would be quite nice to have, like, bring it kind of full circle. It would be bonkers, but the Doctor has that moment with Captain Poppy in Space Babies where he says to her, like, you're special, you're important, and everybody's different, whatever. And it is a little bit cringe, in my opinion, but if Captain Poppy ended up being an early incarnation of the Doctor as a baby, or something absolutely bonkers like that, the Doctor would have bootstrap paradoxed his own morality into himself as a child, which, that sounds very Stephen Moffat-y rather than Russell T Davies-y. Could this Space Baby ship have in fact had a young Doctor on it, and for some reason, safety or escape pods or whatever, the young Doctor gets dropped off at the boundary, or perhaps this Space Baby ship came through the boundary looking for the lost child, which is how the Doctor ended up on that ship. I think it's also a possibility because Ncuti Gatwa has talked about in interviews the fact that we're going to explore the Doctor's past. We're going to learn more about the Doctor and his origins, and he specifically mentions Gallifreyan lore. Could it perhaps be revealed that the Doctor is in fact a god? And obviously, I've mentioned this once again in another video, but like the god of life. He has this regenerative ability, that's where the Time Lords got it from. What if the Pantheon hurled this child through the boundary because he was god of life? Sutekh was their leader, the god of death. The Doctor was everything that Sutekh opposed. They chucked this child through the boundary, wanted nothing to do with it, and that's where the Doctor came from. It was only when the salt was sprinkled that these gods then could fully emerge into our universe, and now maybe they want the Doctor back. Maybe Mrs. Flood is somehow the Doctor's mother, or a creature from this world. There's so many possibilities. I also want to give a quick shout out to this person over on Instagram, who has pointed out, quite rightfully, that the music we all guessed would be regeneration music for the 15th Doctor. A little bit of context here if you don't know already. Murray Gold went on the radio and was asked to, could you play a track from the upcoming episode of Doctor Who that you're proud of? And he picked a little suite from the finale. The episode and the track were called The Reality War, and in this track everyone started wildly speculating that, oh, this is regeneration music, but as this viewer has rightly pointed out, I've gone back and had a listen, you can go and do so yourself, it's actually kind of a reworking of Space Babies music. And if we know that the Space Babies are back, perhaps it isn't regeneration music after all, it's just a moment where the Space Babies hold incredible importance. If it seems to be a mixture of 15's theme and Space Babies type music, does that corroborate with the theory that 15 is in fact, or was in fact once, a space baby? So with all of that going on in the finale, we've also got a question where Mel is, because Mel in Unit, in episode 4 Lucky Day, she's said to be in Sydney at the harbour, which everyone assumed, and I still guess, is setting up the spin-off show with Unit and the Sea Devils, The War Between the Land and the Sea. However, we have seen a shot of Mel in the trailer, we do know she's in the finale, so it can't lead directly into the war between the land and the sea. Maybe it's just a little bit of like a unit investigating the Sea Devils, but then the Sea Devils actually crop up later on kind of thing. But who else will be in this finale? Well, I am almost certain that the fantastic Joe Martin, our fugitive doctor, has got to crop up in this finale. There is absolutely no way. I mean, maybe they have. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it was just set up for a spin-off that hasn't ended up being commissioned, or maybe will be commissioned in the future, or a special episode or something. But you would not have the fugitive doctor return in an episode for 15 seconds and say, like, my story's not done, you haven't seen the end of me, and then leave and not bring her back. There's definitely got to be plans in place to see the fugitive doctor again. Now, my assumption would be the finale, because it's only 2 episodes away. But I could be wrong. Perhaps, as I say, it was for a spin-off or something, but I could see in this reality war, if we are delving more into Gallifreyan lore, into the Doctor's origins, into the Doctor being a space baby, perhaps we will, in fact, see the fugitive doctor. Because maybe she remembers all of this. She remembers being a kid, she remembers growing up, she remembers the truth of the Timeless Child. Maybe we'll finally have that revealed to us. Or maybe all these theories are wrong. Who do you think Mrs. Flood is? How do you think the Space Babies tie into this finale? Where on earth is all of this going? Let me know your theories in the comments down below. If you did enjoy, as ever, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. It really helps me out a lot. I really appreciate all of you guys. You can check out Patreon for early access to our podcast and to exclusive behind-the-scenes content for our fan films, Doctor Who, Echo's End, Echo's Return, Echo's Destiny Part 1, and the soon-to-be-released Echo's Destiny Part 2. I'll stop promoting things now. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!
Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Confused Adipose YouTube channel.
I will destroy you! She's not seen a single episode.
No, I've watched your episodes.
Keep these sonic screwdrivers.
What else am I saying about the film? Don't watch this one.